following our clubs in Europe on a Scottish Football Zone special.
There we go. We're back again, and I think it's the first show with Gig for wee while that we're quite positive about the teams tonight. Give run down the scores. First get in the Conference League, Aberdeen got a 1-0 draw against my favourite team, Noah at Piccoglie. By all accounts, Noah look not a bad team. And then the game just finished at Ibrox. It was Rangers won, Braga won, and both of the teams were down to 10 men. And I think the score of the night, Ethan, was Feyenoord 1, Celtic 3 away from home. We're going to talk about the Rangers match in more detail in a minute, but how do you sum up tonight?
Yeah, mixed emotions, because I think the Celtic result was an excellent one to go over there to Rotterdam. I know we said before in the pre-show that Feyenoord have lost 4 of the last 5 coming in this, now 5 of the last 6, but they're still obviously a club with great pedigree, sitting second in the Eredivisie. They have some top quality players worth multi-millions, so it was never going to be easy. Celtic would have to weather storms at periods, and they did, but they performed excellently and deserved their 3 points in the night. And a massive away win in Europe, which, as we spoke about, doesn't come round too often for Celtic. The first time in 4 years since Ange Postecoglou's side beat Ferencvaros in Budapest. So yeah, a massive win for Celtic, and you thought maybe at half time in the 8 o'clock games that we were going to get 2 home wins for Aberdeen and Rangers, with both of them leading at the break, and then the both Noah and Braga get equalisers in the second half, which is a little bit of a dampener. I think Celtic have put themselves in a really good position to qualify now, probably just need 3 more points. Rangers, they'll see it as one that got away with Braga going down to 10 men and being a goal up, but they're still in with a fighting chance if they win their last 3 games, and the fixtures aren't the most difficult maybe compared to some of the other ones you could have in the Europa League. For Aberdeen, I think that's probably their opportunity at any knockout football beyond the league phase gone tonight. I think that was their best chance to get a win, and unfortunately they couldn't hold on to their lead. So yeah, but not the worst night. We've definitely had worse this season, certainly. So at least we're talking about one of our teams going away on the continent and picking up a really impressive result.
Robbie, it was a mixed night, but I think this is the first time that we've did our show in first tonight, and we feel kind of upbeat, because every week me and Ethan's been here, and we've always kind of struggled to kind of like talk up Scottish football. Well, the Scottish teams in Europe.
I see Mr. Reagan's not turned up for the night time show after predicting Celtic to lose 4-1 earlier, but
I think, but by the way, Robbie, Ethan's not heard this because I put it in our group chat as well. So when we talk about Feyenoord and Celtic, what we're going to do is we're going to bugger off, like me, you, and Ethan, and let Reagan take over the last half an hour and see why Celtic never get beat 4-1 tonight.
I can't wait to hear his reasoning, but no, it was a brilliant win for Celtic, and the glimpses of the game that I saw, a deserved win for Celtic as well. You know, there's players we'll get into. I thought the first goal Celtic scored was absolutely excellent, and it's something that we've not seen this season. So to see a team like Celtic who, you know, but I think you guys rightly pointed out, haven't been playing exactly brilliant as of late, especially in the league, to go over to such a high reputation team, you've got to say, in Europe, a really big crowd as well. Even I think you mentioned there was maybe a few fans missing, but they still packed out in their numbers. So to see Celtic go out there and at the end of the day be comfortable in their scoreline, it's a brilliant result. In terms of Rangers one, obviously there's a lot of VAR drama that happened in that game, 2 red cards at the end. Rangers, I think the general consensus that I've gathered is they probably played worse when Braga went down to 10 men, which is always something that you find in football. And then Aberdeen, as Ethan said, I think they'll probably be quite disappointed they never get away with 3 points. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, guys, it's a positive night in European action for Scottish teams. I mean, no one lost, so that's always a positive.
Yeah, I was just looking at it there. Obviously, from the 3 games tonight, between the 3 sides, we pick up 5 points. From the other, what would have been 11 games between the 3 sides, they picked up 5 points. Rangers obviously didn't pick up any. Aberdeen picked up 1, and Celtic had picked up 4. So we've doubled our points tally for the league phase season tonight, which shows how really bad it's been for the Scottish clubs so far this season, and hopefully in the second half of the campaign it can be a real turnaround. As I said, I think Celtic should have enough to get 3 points, win one of the last 3, and they're pretty much there in the knockout rounds. For Rangers, they'll probably have to win all 3, but as I said, I think the fixtures are a little bit easier. They've got Ferencvaros away, who are sitting 6th in the Europa League, so maybe not an easy fixture, but on paper you probably would have picked that out as an easier one. Ludogorets Razgrad of Bulgaria, who are sitting in 25th, and then the last one, which is maybe one of Rangers' most difficult, Porto away, who are sitting 8th. So maybe not the easiest, as I said before, but I think Rangers can do it. But I think they'll see tonight as a massive missed opportunity. As I said, leading 1-0, the Braga go down to 10 men. How much of a red card it was is debatable, same as probably Diamandi's second yellow. But at the end of the day, when you're 1-0 up and the other team go down to 10 men, you've got to see out those 3 points. And I think Danny Rowe and his players will be kicking themselves because they missed out on a real opportunity to put their first win on the board for the Europa League phase season.
I thought as well, Ethan, watching the Celtic game, how good Celtic were tonight, but and then you turned over Ibrox as well, and the first thing I noticed about the game was the atmosphere. I don't know if that Alex will be on the show tomorrow, I think, but the atmosphere was flat for like a big kind of like European game as well. But also I thought Rangers were flat as well on the park.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a dull game. I thought the Celtic Feyenoord game was really entertaining, and I know Joe Hart kept harping on about it in the commentary, but I thought it was a really good game, even for a neutral. There was a lot of entertaining moments, teams missing big chances, end-to-end, whereas the Rangers-Braga game didn't really live up to that, certainly in the first half. And then obviously Rangers get the goal from a penalty, which probably by the laws of the game as a penalty, it hits the player's hand. I can't remember who it was, but he has his arm out and it hits him. So you can't really have too much complaints with that. And then they take the lead. Great penalty from James Tavernier, as you'd usually expect. And then you expect Rangers to hold on to that lead in the second half, and they did for most of the time. And then when Braga get the red cards, you're thinking, brilliant, it's going to be even more difficult for them to get back in the game. And then Nasser Djiga with, well, a terrible error. Schoolboy defending, he flicks it on. And the Braga player puts it in, I can't remember their name, but they scored at Celtic Park as well. Martinez it was who got the equaliser with 20 minutes to go, and then Rangers couldn't really find a second win to go at it again. And I think a draw in that game was probably a fair result as well.
Robbie, looking back at the game, the first half, I never wrote a lot down. First half, Butland was called into action early on. He made a double save in the first half. Braga had a lot of the ball. Diamandi short. I think, and that was it, apart from Tavernier's penalty. We can argue about the penalty all day long. I thought the penalty was still a bit soft, but it's still a penalty. People might say about the thinking off for Braga was a thinking off, quite soft thinking off. I stick by my opinion and say, if you lift your head, no matter if it's soft or hard or, it's one of these ones, if it's a boiled dead, boiled gag, if it's hard or soft, it's got a thinking off as well. But No, second half it kind of like came to life as well. I don't know if I was missing anything off my notes there, guys, but like second half it was more kind of a bit more lively than the first half.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, and I would agree with you on the red card. I think it is very soft on Rodrigo Zalashar, but at the end of the day, you know, when you're face to face with an opposition player and you make any movement for your head, you give them the referee the opportunity to send you off, and that's exactly what he done. So, yeah, just silly, and I think I think Vicens will look back on that as it's quite poor from his player, and I'm sure he will let him know that he's let his team down, but maybe not, because it helped them get back into the game. As Robbie said, I think Rangers played worse when they were playing against 10, and sometimes that's the case. You've seen that even in the League Cup semi-final between Celtic and Rangers. Celtic started the game really well. Rangers go down to 10 men, Taylor Asgard, and then they eventually get like a second win in the second half and get the equaliser and come back into the game. And it was a similar scenario here. Mohamed Diamande sent off right at the end with a second yellow, which, as I said, was a wee bit soft, but at the end of the day, it could be given as a yellow, so you can't really complain. It was a game of soft decisions, but I think Rangers will be really disappointed. But it is progress, because in the previous 4 games they hadn't picked up any points, so you could look at it in that way. And this is a Braga team that has done pretty well in the Europa League so far this season. They obviously went to Celtic Park and won pretty convincingly there. So, yeah, I think there's positives to take from Rangers, but ultimately you wanted 3 points tonight, especially in the position Rangers were in with less than half an hour to play.
I'm just glad to see the referees. Well, the referee Hybrox was constant in his decisions. I mean, you know, with as Scottish football fans, go through a lot of inconsistency. So to see the referee actually sticking by both the second yellow and the red card, and go, no, look, I know they're both soft, but I'm still needing to send them off, then, you know, that's a positive for me. But I just sort of want to get a word in. I know we're here to talk about the 3 Scottish teams, but I feel it's only right to sort of send wishes out to the Aston Villa players and some of the fans, because I don't know if you guys seen it. They obviously played young boys. Daniel Mallon scored a double. As he was going to celebrate, he gets struck with something and cut his head open. And I also seen videos of the young boy fans attacking police officers. So I just sort of want to send my wishes out to Aston Villa fans that night, because I can imagine it's probably going to be quite a terrifying scene if you're there in person. But I mean, look, going back to Ibrox, I think you're right, Ethan. I think both of them need to be given as red cards. You know, Diomandi's, as much as he's not even looking at the player, he does have his arm extended, which is only going to result in a second yellow card. And the red card for Braga is, as you said, you know, it's soft, but that has got to be given. So I'd agree with both of them, and I'd say that's probably the correct decision.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Robbie. I hope everyone in Birmingham concerned at Villa Park is safe and well, because I did see that after Daniel Mallon's first goal, the young boys fans were throwing lots of missiles onto the pitch, and unfortunately he gets struck by one of them. But it was nice to see him go on to continue and then get a second goal and rub it in the face of those fans again. But yeah, hopefully everyone's okay, because it's not the scenes we like to see with football. There's obviously, you like to see fans being passionate about their team, but there's a line, and I think the line was crossed there. And I thought, even relating to the Scottish teams, I thought the Feyenoord fans were quite crazy tonight, even though the ultras weren't in the ground. I think there might have been some of them still dotted about the stadium, especially after the first goal. I think there was, fireworks or flares?
Fireworks going off, but they were saying on the telly that they set the fireworks outside the park.
Yeah, and then they got into the ground. So and I seen them. I'm sure you've seen there was multiple incidents of Celtic players with lasers in their face and stuff like that. And I mean, you shouldn't really be doing that, but I think Lasers is certainly a lot better than throwing stuff at players, and that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I never heard that, Robbie. So I hope everybody's okay there because, yeah, I mean, I always get annoyed when I hear stories about that because, like, UEFA always plays a video before the games and they play fair play, and obviously that for the team and the fans, but obviously the more it doesn't matter how many times they play that video, it doesn't seem to be going in. It's probably going in one ear and out the other, and that's quite sad and disappointment. But yeah, I mean for the Celtic final game as well, fireworks going off and laser pens as well, and I'm sure Joe Hart's again commentary that I see you or something. But that's not the first time we see. I can't remember what game I was watching. I think it was last season, and maybe it was a European game or maybe not. I can't remember. But the boy was shining a laser on. I think it was. I can't remember the team, but it was a penalty kick. I'm sure maybe it's a Scotland game. I'm not actually sure. As well, but I don't like to hear these kind of things, you know.
Yeah, it's something that's really difficult to deter as well. Obviously, lasers can be in such a small thing that's so easy to hide to get into a ground, and it makes it really difficult. And it's something I don't think we really see in Scottish football, but certainly across Europe and across South American football and further away, it is something you see. But ultimately, it didn't get to the Celtic players too much tonight because they were the better team. And despite Feyenoord taking the lead, which I thought it was going to play into Reagan's theory that Feyenoord get an early goal and then go on to romp Celtic, but obviously it wasn't the case. But it was a really nice goal from them, really well worked. It was who was it that played the really nice ball? It was Luciano Valenti that played an excellent ball in behind to Sam Stein, who squared it to Ayase Ueda, the Japanese striker, who looked really dangerous. He had another big chance in the first half that Kasper Schmeichel saved. And I was speaking before, they had 13 goals in 13 league games this season, so he was always one to watch out for. And yeah, you thought it might be a long night for Celtic, and I think Martin O'Neill said that after the game, that it would have been easy to sort of collapse after an early goal like that, just outside the opening 10 minutes. But Celtic fought their way back into the game after a positive start. Luke McCowan missed the sitter before they had even scored, and I think it was offside at the time, but the commentary team were saying that it could have possibly been onside. So, yeah, lucky for him that he made up for it, especially with the first goal as well, because he plays that really nice ball in behind to Rio Hatate, who sort of hooks it over to the back post. I don't know if he was trying to play it to Daisen Maeda or if he seen Yang coming in at the back post, but it was a nice finish from Yang as well, because he did still have quite a bit to do when it came to him at the back post. But I thought Luke McCowan put in a shift, because obviously I don't think he was excellent, but it's not his usual position, and playing out there, he put in a shift, obviously involved in one of the goals as well. So, but I think all the Celtic players put in a shift. The back four, Kobe Donovan made some excellent challenges. I thought Arne Engels had a great game. Rio Hatate was back to his best. And Daisen Maeda looked like he was back to his sort of pressing best. He was pressing the ball really well, and obviously that's where the second goal comes from. The Feyenoord goalkeeper, Wellenreuter, makes a mess of it, and then Rio Hatate's get the easy tap in to put Celtic ahead at the end of the first half.
There we go. A comment coming in for Leo on Facebook. He says, coming from another Rangers fan, that was never a red card. Now, I think there's going to be a divide going to panel about this, because I know Robbie said it was a bit soft. Ethan, I think you said it was a bit soft as well. But I mean, I agree with you, it's a bit soft, right? But if you lift your head or put your elbows out or whatever, it's still a red card, whether it's soft or not.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that you just can't do. And I said that somebody was asking me, was it a red card? And I went, it's ridiculous and it's very soft, but I knew they were going to give it as a red card because as soon as you make that motion of moving your head when you're face to face with an opposition player like that, and Nico Raskin goes down, quite rightfully so, and it's usually ends up being a red card. Obviously, there's more straightforward ones where you actually headbutt the player. I wouldn't really call it that, but just a stupid thing, and he'll look back on himself and he'll be kicking himself because it was a really silly thing to do, and ultimately gave the referee the chance to make the decision. And I don't think you can have too many complaints about it.
Robbie,
No.
probably
I agree with everything that Ethan says. I think it doesn't leave the referee with much choice, to be honest with you. It's really soft, and to be honest, I mean, look, we're no referees, but I don't think I'd begin that, to be honest with you, as a red card. I don't think I'd begin the Diomande one either, to be honest, but I don't think he leaves the referee with much choice, and I think if the referee, as I said earlier, if he's going to make one decision, he's going to make both, and at the end of the day, both of them shouldn't have been making that motion. Neither of them were the two situations with the arm in the head. And as Ethan said, you do leave the referee with no choice, but that comment there for Jamie off the underside about Yang, I mean, Yang must have thought he was playing in Paisley tonight, no Rotterdam, because it really did come on the first sort of 30 minutes I seen. I thought he played really, really well. Even I think for me, one of the big players for Celtic on the night was Maeda. You mentioned his pressing. I think he probably needed a game like that. I think he needed to pound on the goalkeeper like that, get the ball back, be the reason that goal happens. Because I think it's fair to say this so far in the start of the season, he's not really been at his best, and I think a game like that will really, really help him out and him.
Yeah, and I think he's been playing and you can understand maybe someone who's got their head elsewhere, and because obviously we know that he wanted to move away, and it looked like he was going to get his move away in the summer. Obviously, he didn't, and he seems like a player who's been playing with his head elsewhere, and that would be understandable. But maybe a performance and a result like tonight with the unity the players showed, with the celebrations, especially after the third goal, is something that maybe brings him back into the pool of Celtic, and he decides, okay, I'm going to give my best to this football club because I can have some excellent nights like this and perform really well and even attract myself a big move when the club understand that I want to move on. And yeah, he does really well for the third goal as well. I think it was Kobe Donovan from the throw in on the right hand side that puts it across, and the keeper's kind of coming out to get it, and he just lays it off for Benjamin Nygren, but take nothing away from the substitute because it was an absolutely excellent finish. He put it in off the bar, and Nygren's someone who I keep saying to people that I know he's not been starting, but he always gets so many chances. He's always in the right place, and it's a really good thing because if he gets really confident in front of goal and starts putting the goals away, then he could be someone that I think could score a ridiculous amount of goals in a season, and maybe he has the not yet. He's not the same quality player yet, but goal scoring midfielder wise, he could be maybe that Matt O'Reilly replacement that Celtic were looking for, because he obviously scored a ridiculous amount of goals in his last season in Scotland. And I think Benjamin Nygren, I don't know how many goals he's got this season already, probably close to 10 if he's not hit that mark already. So, and I don't think he's been at his best either. I think he's got other levels to go to. So a really promising night for Celtic, some really promising performances like Yang. And yeah, I think Yang's a player that every so often, every few months, he'll show one of these performances, and then he'll go back into being just a player that's not great. But if he can consistently play at the level he did tonight, then yeah, there definitely could be a future for him at Celtic.
Right, guys. Thanks for watching. We're going to go away now. I think the last half an hour, we should leave Reagan on to tell us why Celtic won tonight. Because by the way, if you haven't watched the show, go back and watch the pre-show, because when we done our scores, Reagan was very confident. 4-1 to Feyenoord. So, Reagan, are you still there?
I'm here, Michael. I'm here.
Okay, that's good. Is that humble pie nice, mate?
Yeah, it is. I didn't actually have some humble pie. I was eating some pasta bolognese there, but I mean, I think in general, Michael, I felt like as soon as that final goal going in, there was a bit of grin on my face. If you'd have seen me, you'd have been laughing. But I mean, because I was actually thinking it was going to be a long night, but Celtic
Yeah.
actually played pretty well. But I thought the final played well, and I was listening to you guys there, and I think it was a very good game to watch because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I think Celtic's second half, I think that was the best I've seen them play for a long time because Feyenoord they could hardly get a touch of the ball and it's not very often you see that in Europe.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree. I thought some Celtic players performed their best in a while, and Celtic, as I said, there's lots of positives to be taken from tonight, and they can carry that into the Wilfred Nancy reign when he arrived.
Don't let him kid you, by the way. He's trying to get back on the good book so that he can get into Parkhead for the Dundee game on Wednesday night.
I'll be there, Mike. I'll be there. I'll be there, but I won't be there. Looking forward to seeing Nancy's first match. But I'm interested to get you guys' thoughts on it because somebody that I thought was really good today was Donovan. Surely this against Steve Clark's going to be looking at it because he's much better than Tony Ralston.
Is it better than Hickey and Patterson though? That's the bit inevitably by the time
I don't think Patterson will be selected for the World Cup, but I do see what you mean. But I think Donovan's a better choice than say a Ralston for me, Robbie.
Yeah. I think they're two different players, and I think Kobe Donovan is sometimes very raw, and he does play like a really sort of young, inexperienced player. Obviously, that's what he is, but sometimes, even tonight, he makes some slide tackles, and the Feyenoord players sort of come away with the ball and stuff like that. I feel like sometimes Ralston can be sort of rash as well, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's a little bit more measured sometimes, and I just feel like he's a little bit more of a safe pick, I would say, and I think that's why Steve Clark will select him. Obviously, he's got the experience.
The big thing for me, though, Ethan, is Donovan's ball ends are much better. You look at that ball he played across for Maeda and then the goal for Nygren, but I just think that Ralston always lets you down. It always hits the first man every time he puts a ball across.
That's definitely a fair point. I wouldn't disagree with that, but
be honest with you, Ethan. Apart from Ralston, I think the very first season under Ange, he was very good. But see, apart from that, he was terrible against St Mirren. He kept playing the ball back the way. I mean, Robbie was in the stadium. I don't know what you felt, Robbie, but I thought Ralston was terrible on Saturday night.
I don't think Ralston was great, to be honest with you. But I think Ethan's also right. I think if you're Steve Clark in your mind, you're probably going with the safe option, which Donovan's going to get a million chances in the Scotland squad. We know he's got the potential for it. He's clearly good enough to know. It's just about when we put him in. You don't want to fling these young guys. I know we love to go on about it, and Mike, I know it's your favourite subject, but we don't want to be rushing these guys in too soon, and potentially going them out. That can happen to players. So Donovan's time will come. Whether it be next year, the year after, whenever. I'm sure he will get plenty of opportunities in the Scotland team. But I want to ask you guys about a player that Ethan mentioned, Benjamin Nygren, and he's a player that even I think he summed him up pretty perfectly. If he can get himself into these positions, which he's really, really good at, and he can get goal confident, he'll be a fantastic player. And I think for me, he's always been one of the players that I feel fans unnecessarily criticise a lot of the time because of his price tag, and that is the only reason. It's like it's Kilmarnock signing Marcus Dackers for doing in England, or it's St Mirren signing these guys for England, or bringing in Malik Dijksteel for Ireland. If this was any other player in any other team, it's a case of, look, he's going to take a while to adapt to this league. It's a very different league for playing there where he was playing football before. He needs a chance. He needs to get settled in. And I'd say he's probably turning the screw, and I think he will, as the season goes on, prove a lot of people wrong. Because I said it in the first game of the season, by the way, Celtic v St Mirren. I thought he was good on that day as well. A lot of people disagreed. A lot of people didn't think he was too special, but I did pick him out straight away, and I said to people, I think he'll be a really, really good player for Celtic. And I stand by it. I still think he will be an incredible player for Celtic coming the end of the season and get into next season as well.
Yeah, and he's a player who he doesn't always sort of play his best, it feels like, but you can see that he's got something that could be really useful, and you can see why Celtic signed him for, I think it was $1 million or something around that, because of his contract running down. And in the Scottish Premiership this season, I'm a big fan of this stat. No, not everybody is, including Martin O'Neill, but expected goals, he's got the third most in the Scottish Premiership, and for a midfielder, that's pretty good. The only players with more are Apostolos Stamatolopoulos and Claudio Braga. So
I'm glad you said that, Ethan.
he's obviously, not the easiest name, but he's obviously a player that gets himself into the right positions. And I remember the Sturm Graz game especially, where he had tons of chances. He obviously got his goal in the end, but tonight it only took him one, which was obviously ideal for Celtic because they weren't getting many in the second half. But they kept the ball really well and defended well at times as well. And Feyenoord never really put Kasper Schmeichel under too much pressure. He made some really solid saves, but I thought Celtic were well worthy of their win, and they can carry that into the remaining 3 games of this campaign and the league and cup final.
What's your thoughts, Ethan, about Luke McCowan? Because when Reagan regularly came out, I was happy from a Scottish point of view that he's playing, because I like McCowan as well. And I know, like Bobby was, we were talking about the Scotland squad there, and I think I don't think it's too early for Luke McCowan, but I do think he needs to get more game time for Celtic, because he's got something there, Ethan, for him to be in the Scotland squad. But before that, he needs to get in that Celtic team, and I don't think that performance would give him any harm, and maybe starting the game on Sunday against Hibs.
Yeah, exactly that, and maybe starting in his more favoured position, because I think tonight he's done a shift for the team, and he done that the other night in Paisley as well, where he's playing out on the right hand side. It's not his ideal position, but we know the quality Celtic have got in the central midfield area when all the players are at their best. Even Paulo Bernardo got off the bench tonight, so yeah, it's difficult for him to really sort of nail down a place in that midfield, especially when one of the 3 midfielders, Callum McGregor's going to play every week, every game even. So it's difficult. But I think if he can really find the best form of his life, I think it would need, and he can nail down a position in that starting 11, then maybe he can be on Steve Clarke's mind for the Scotland squad. But this is the great thing we've got now, that we've got to a World Cup very early on, that all these players have the opportunity to rise to the occasion and become sort of players who weren't part of the squad before, but Steve Clarke can't deny them if they're playing so well. And I think it would be, I agreed with, I think it was Robbie that made the point, that you don't want to rush some of the younger players in. I know we always talk about giving the younger players the chance when they're good enough, but for Kobe Donovan, I don't think it's the time yet. I think he needs a wee bit more game time and experience playing for Celtic. You look at someone like Dave Murray was thrown in for the Hearts game by Brendan Rodgers, and look what happened to him. And I know he's not as young a player, but that almost ended. I thought that would end his Celtic career. I didn't think he would play another game for Celtic. Obviously, he has since then, and I'm glad for him, because you don't like to see that happen to someone. But you could throw Kobe Donovan in for a big match, and then he never bounces back from something like that. So yeah, you've got to look after your players, and I think his time will come, and I hope Luke McCowan's time will come as well, because I think he's a really good player. Whether he'll get that chance playing for Celtic, I don't know.
Reagan, I'm going to speak to you about Martin O'Neill, because he's done a brilliant job since he's come into Celtic, and if Sunday's his last game against Hibs, I'm sure the Celtic support will give him a big round of applause, because he's come in and maybe, I'll go on to say he saved the season, but he
has saved the season.
Yeah, aye, but also what I mean is, like, he's make the team look like a team now, and a lot of supporters they get to enjoy watching the Celtic team under Rodgers, but because Martin O'Neill's come in, he's kind of galvanised the squad. But one player I want to do an Ethan's and Robbie's take on is Oscar Krusky. I think he's actually, I think since Martin O'Neill's come in, I think you've seen a different side to him since he's come in.
I think Trusty and Skills have been good. I think Skills has been really good since Martin O'Neill's come in. Maybe it's because he's doing really well with Republic Island as well, but I think Skills and Trusty have been great, Mike. I think that's a good point you make. I think the biggest thing that Martin's done is made it simple for the players again. He's not spoken about the board too much, because I think that's something that Brendan Rodgers spoke about quite a lot. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a big Brendan Rodgers supporter, right? I didn't think that Brendan Rodgers was a problem, but maybe Brendan Rodgers just was fed up with the board. He was fed up trying to get the best out of the players, and maybe that's what the players needed. They needed a fresh voice, because maybe the players thought, right, like Celtic didn't back Brendan, but then Brendan probably spat the dummy out too much and affected the players. I don't know if you guys agree, but I just think Martin O'Neill's kind of steadied the ship a little bit and helped the players get back on track.
If we're being really honest, Rodgers flung the players under the bus at his time at Celtic. He did. Some of the quotes about driving a Ferrari and all this nonsense, it's flinging your players under the bus. It's not what any of the Celtic players would have wanted to hear, and it would have absolutely shattered their confidence. So, Regan, I completely agree with your point. You can see why the players didn't look interested under Rodgers, and I think Martin O'Neill's just gave them that bit of fresh air, as you said. He's more importantly been brave as well. I don't know about you guys, but I can't imagine it's easy to drop a player that Celtic spent half a £10 million on in the most recent window, you know. So I think Martin's just, to be honest with you, I think Martin's just having fun with it. I think he's enjoying being back in the Celtic dugout. He probably knows that he's not going to be in the job after Sunday, so he's just fully enjoying himself while he's still got that time left.
Yeah, exactly that, and I would agree. I think Austin Trusty has really sort of stepped up recently, and I think we've seen at times in his Celtic career that he is a player that can be a real asset to Celtic, and I know that it's maybe not the most conventional in modern day football to have two left-footed central defenders, but it's obviously with Carter Vickers injured and out for the season, Celtic are going to need to get used to it. But I think Liam Scales is I'm puzzled whenever I see Celtic fans criticising him, and obviously he has poor games. Don't get me wrong,
Scaldini.
Yeah, I think he's possibly been, and correct me if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm missing anyone, but I think he's been the best defender possibly in Scotland this season. Is that a crazy thing to say?
No.
I'd only fling Craig Halkett up there,
Craig Halkett, definitely.
I'd say Scales overall. I mean, I watched him for Ireland the other 2 games that he played, and he was absolutely phenomenal there as well. And he was playing in a wing-back position for Ireland as well, but he just covered it so well.
I mean, this is probably a question for tomorrow, but do you think there's any players like Rangers and Celtic that are potentially looking in January to get out, to potentially get in that Scotland squad? Because you look at players like Finlay Curtis, James Forrest, they'll be looking to get on that plane.
Do you want an outside shout for a non-Rangers and Celtic team? I think if you're James Wilson, you've got to be wanting at least a loan move. And I don't think James Wilson's going to be first choice in Scotland by any means. But let's be honest, there's a striker spot open. There's only so many times we can call up George Hurst and he's not going to go on the pitch before, that spot gets taken. So I think if you're one of these guys like James Wilson, or as you said, James Forrest at Celtic, you've probably got to be looking at that spot and thinking, if I can get on a goal scoring run here, then I'm going to be in that team.
Robbie, I've not asked you yet, because obviously, and I'll obviously speak to you about it if you're going to be on the show tomorrow. But if you're Steve Clarke, are you taking Barnes to the World Cup?
I'm no, but you don't want to see who I'm taking to the World Cup if I'm the Scotland manager. So I'm not taking Harvey Barnes.
Mikel Mandaron.
Marcus Fraser's my right back as well, but no, I'm personally not.
Milling team then, Robbie.
Marco Harris in my midfield next to.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually, it's an interesting shout. By the way, I think it was you and Cameron talking about this. Fling everything at getting Callum McGregor back in the Scotland team for the World Cup, because I think it'd be a fantastic shout to be in that team.
I think that's the only time in my life that I would agree with you and Cameron. I was going to say sorry that you watched you and Cameron, but I should have listened to what you said about McGregor. And that, by the way, I know your feelings about you and Cameron, so you're not getting away with it, Robbie, right? If I'm going down, you're going down, mate, right? That's the name of the game as well. But I just want to jump across to Ibrox and talk about that game quickly. Regan, me and Ethan Robbie spoke about the singing off, the two singing offs. What about the two singing offs? The Ibrox scarking with the Braga man getting sent off by a kind of, what you would say, a brushing headbutt.
Yeah, Mike, I was listening to you on YouTube before I come on, talking about boiled eggs and fried eggs and whatever else you were talking about. I think it was a sending off. I think it was a sending off. I do agree. I do agree. It was a soft egg, but I think it was still an egg.
Yeah.
You know?
Hashtag soft egg. Yep.
But in terms of Diamondi, I just think he's very stupid to do that. To make the referee make a choice. Obviously, it's a second booking, but I just wanted to say to you guys, I mean, see that, is it Jiga, whatever his name is?
Yeah.
That guy just looks as if he's running on treacle. He just doesn't look as if he's tuned into the game.
No, for that goal. I mean, I had to go back and see the goal, and I just can't believe what any of the defences did. To be honest with you, it's such an easy goal to score for Braga. It's quite unbelievable, to be honest. I consider a goal like that. But I think a lot of people probably want Giga dropped now. I can imagine Alex is going to be one of them that if he's on the show tomorrow, will probably be wanting him at the team. And I think, in terms of Rangers overall, I just think they lack bravery. I don't think they can adapt properly to that big game. I think there's too many characters in that team that need replaced. If you get me, I think, there's players in there without doubt that have quality and can stand up to the big games, and they've got it in them. Nico Raskin's a prime example. A player I've always turned to at Rangers. I think he's got everything you could want in a midfielder. But there's too many players in that team that in January and at the end of the season, I think will be replaced, and I think you'll see Danny Rowe trying to bring in some of his own players. And to be honest, I think on nights like that, if Danny Rowe has his own team, I think Rangers probably win that game quite comfortably, because I think with the way the first half went, Rangers could have walked away with 3 points there.
Well, you're talking about Raskin there, right? I heard Barry Dodds on another programme the other night talking about Rangers overspending in the summer, in terms of that's why he thinks that that ultimately fell on Stewart were sacked, right? So do you think Raskin will be a player that might be sacrificed in January?
I think every Rangers fan would say no. I mean, that's a player to me that's too valuable to lose, almost. Unless some silly money comes in, then at that point you're just going to take it, aren't you? But I think as long as...
Okay then, Robbie, to tell you then, what is silly money?
In the other region of 22, 25 million is probably getting to the point where it's silly money. And I think, by the way, if
what about 15 million?
I think Rangers have got it. I'd say no if I was Rangers, to be honest with you.
I don't know, Robbie. I don't know. Because I don't know if you'll be able to get that. And I don't know if you'll be able to. Because is he going to sign a brand new contract next year? I don't know.
We don't know, but again, though, if Raskin goes away to Belgium at the World Cup, which he'll be in that team, and he has a fantastic World Cup, you could be talking about his money skyrocketing through the.
I know.
He's a valuable asset at Rangers, and there's so many other players in that team that you could get rid of. I mean, there's literally loads in there that I think Rangers fans would agree and move on. I just don't think they've got the character to be Rangers players. And for me, the guys like Raskin and Gassama as well, by the way, I think Gassama's a good player. These are guys that Rangers, for me, has got to be hanging on to and trying to build the squad around going forward.
Aye, but listen, guys. I know you were talking about Raskin there, right? But one man, I don't think he's been the same player since Michael Beale kind of like came out with all that kind of. Sorry, no Michael Beale, Russell Martin came out with all that kind of stuff. Because up until then, Raskin was a good player, but I mean, since he's came back in the team, maybe I'm being about fair, but it doesn't look the same kind of player, and maybe that depends on who he's playing with and who's playing me ring about, but I don't think it's the same Nico Raskin that we saw before.
No, but my counter argument would be, Michael, that he's gone away to Belgium and constantly putting on really good performances for the national team, which, indicates that he's clearly got the ability there. Maybe it's the way he's being played under role. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe just
Maybe it's the role he's playing under Danny. Maybe it's
maybe he's just not settling in that role. Who knows? But I don't think going forward he is a valuable asset that Rangers need to keep. To be honest with you, I don't think you're going to find a midfielder much better than him.
Yeah, no, Reagan's trying to get back in everybody's good books now, Ethan. After that scoreline, we won't forget it and see if Celtic wins the.
It was 1-0 final after 5 minutes. I was almost right. I was
Getting excited.
Yeah, no, I was talking about when Chelsea scored the third goal. It's all right.
By the way, see if Celtic wins the Conference League, but I don't think they will. We'll come on here and
The Conference League.
Yeah.
They'd be doing well to win the Conference League, Michael.
I know, but if Celtic drops down to it, I was going to be fair.
You can't drop down to it anymore.
No, you can't drop down now. You can't drop down now.
All right, okay. All right, then. There you go. I've made a mess as well, Reagan, so that's good.
When they win the Europa League.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say that time, but I was trying not to be too smart, but there you go. I was too smart with the Conference League.
I will. I think Celtic will be happy. I mean, it's their first big European win away from home in 4 years, I think the commentator said. So it's massive for the team.
Yeah,
probably you'd imagine as well Martin O'Neill really would have wanted that, because let's be honest, it's probably going to be his final European away day that he manages, so he probably would have wanted to go out in that high as well, unless something drastically changes over the next couple of weeks. He would have wanted to go out in that European away win.
Sorry mate.
No, on you go.
No, and for all the old people out there, a bit like me, 2001, I watched the game Gigi Agat, and a lot of people was like that. Who? And Agat? I think Celtic beat Ajax. Was it 2-1?
3-1.
3-1, yeah. As well. But in Reagan's case, it was 4-1 to Ajax on the night. By the way, I'm never going to let that go, Reagan. By the way, that's so funny. But I mean, I think I don't know about you guys, right? But I know Robbie didn't see much of the Rangers game tonight, right? But looking at the two teams head to head, both of them aren't brilliant, but Celtic just edge it in terms of just get more quality players in the team. Would you agree with that, Ethan and Reagan? I'm thinking about McGregor.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they have at the minute, and I feel like Danny Rowe. I don't know if any of you agree, but I feel like he's playing with he's fighting with an arm behind his back at the minute, because it's not his players, and I think we all understand that the recruitment was terrible in the summer, so the players he's got aren't really good enough, and he has to kind of make do with what he's got, because obviously it's not a transfer window yet, and he'll be hoping that he gets backed and gets some players in January that can help him sort of turn it into his team and his way of playing.
Reagan?
Michael, I think you're spot on. For once, I think in general, Michael, I think Celtic will be pretty happy with this. What the squad are doing at the moment. I think it'll be interesting to see because I read yesterday from a few Scottish journalists saying that Wilfred Nancy's already said about players he wants to bring in January. So it'll be interesting to see if he taps into them to the American market or he goes to Africa or he goes to France where he knows. So I'm looking forward to it.
Wait until we finds out Dermot Desmond's on a golf course somewhere in America when he wants to try and send me on to America. But no, I think on your point about Rowe, Ethan, is interesting. I always look back now and how actually bad was Russell Martin behind the scenes. You know, we seen a team playing football that was just really bad to watch. But if they guys weren't even getting motivated in league games, you know, it shows the improvement that Danny Rowe is, Russell Martin, that, you know, he can get them motivated. Albeit, I think they'll probably be disappointed they never get away with the 3 points tonight. But it's another point on the board. It's one more point that Russell Martin managed to get in his Rangers tenure. So I think
it just shows you, Robbie, that see, as long as you're winning matches, nobody really cares.
Yeah.
He's
not Danny Rowe's not. He's not come in and done it. He's not revolutionised football, but he started getting Rangers winning league games, and ultimately that's the bread and butter, and that's what you need to do. And they're willing to forgive that the performances haven't been great, and the performance wasn't great, I don't think, again tonight. But it's not his players, and the players, I think everybody understands, the majority of them brought in the summer are just not good enough to play for Rangers Football Club. And you've seen that tonight. I think the centre-back partnership is, no disrespect to Nasser Jaziga and Emmanuel Fernandez, but I just don't think they're of Rangers quality at the minute. And I know they were in previous transfers, obviously, to Rangers for Fernandez, but from Partizan Belgrade to Wolves for Nasser Jaziga, they're a combined £13 million worth of central defenders. But then you've got Yusuf Chermiti, who's a £9 million player or whatever. So money doesn't always buy quality, is what we've seen in this window for both Celtic and Rangers. And sometimes those untapped markets and cheaper players is where you get your value. Look at Hearts as the perfect example. St Mirren, obviously, with how well they always recruit under Stephen Robinson as well. So, yeah.
It really is telling that a guy that, you know, Bojan Miovski, that's scored so many goals in Scotland and been magnificent for seasons with Aberdeen, can't even break in ahead of Chermiti. And, you know, I'll always say, like I said when Adrian earlier, Chermiti can't help his price tag. He can't help getting bought for £8 million and brought into Rangers. But surely any of these managers, and also we don't know what role season training with these guys, but surely Miovski's a better option than Yusuf Chermiti at this point. I mean, that guy just does not look like a striker for Rangers at all.
It doesn't look like a striker for Flolo Juniors. Never mind Rangers.
I mean, he wasn't really in the game much, you know, apart from like he was involved in that penalty incident, what was it, in the first half. But I mean, apart from that as well. But I mean, on your point, guys, about Rangers are not playing brilliant football and they're picking up results. Aye. But I would say if you were a Rangers fan walking away from that game tonight, I think you would be happy that you got a point, but disappointed you never won because it kind of feels it a defeat because Braga was getting 10 men for what, 20 minutes or 25 minutes as well. But I mean, then again, it shows you how poor Rangers are.
Aye, well, you know, Ethan summed it up there, right? He's both made two very good points and summed it up perfectly. Ethan mentioned the two centre-backs. Rangers used to go in with Philippe Palander and Connor Goldson, who teams would absolutely dread playing against. I mean, the defence, Rangers used to have always used to stop big European teams. Up front, Michael, you mentioned Chermiti there, even though he had a quiet game. Morelos used to have quiet games, but he'd still pop up with these moments that it'd come alive in games. So yep. I think that's the perfect representation of where Rangers are at right now. You know, all over the pitch, they're just no the same as what they used to be. And I get it, it's hard to replace that type of quality. And, you know, I don't think once in a blue moon you'll find a Alfredo Morelos that's bagging that many goals in European games and all that stuff. But the recruitment's been far from good enough.
I think you could say the same thing about Dessers as well. Even though Dessers missed a lot of good chances, he still scored a lot of brilliant goals. I mean, I still go on here about the goal that he scored down in against Man United. And then I think it was the next day, the next league game he scored against Dundee United, and
Yeah.
it was on half volley as well. So,
it was
you
two
know,
world class
Yeah.
goals, and he's a player who scored. He was top scorer in the Premiership last season, and you look at what Rangers have brought in to replace him and how many goals between Miovski and Chermiti. It's a big mistake that they let Dessers go. And if he wanted to go, then there's obviously not much he can do. But I just think Rangers should have done more to try and incentivise him to stay, because I think they're really missing him. And it's been one of their struggling points this season has been goals. I know defensively they've probably been under par of where they should be as well, but they just don't really look like goals coming out of really anywhere. I know they got a goal tonight, but it's through a penalty. So, yeah, they just look a bit toothless in front of goal. And even the player who maybe was the bright spark, Diego Casama's kind of went a little bit cold recently, and he's not really been as firing on all cylinders. And that's the thing, you can't rely on one winger to carry you through a season of creativity, because naturally almost all wingers in the world, you can go at the highest level of football, wingers are inconsistent usually, and you can't rely on them for all your attacking output. And that's what Rangers done in the early parts of the season, and it's really coming back to bite them now when none of their strikers can find the back of the net.
By the way, I'm being a bit harsh on it, right? So if we're talking about that serial deaths, but I can go back to like Joe Rebo's time and that team, right? I don't know the Rangers squad offhand, right? I would need to find it, right? But see, looking at that Rangers team tonight, can you name me? Obviously apart from the obvious one, Butland, Tavernier, and and Raskin would maybe get into the team like 2 or 3 years ago, but after that you would be kind of like scratching your head, because I mean nobody kind of like jumped out at me, and you would maybe say Malowski if he was having more game time and all the rest of it, and Lyle Cameron, he's not really hack off at Rangers yet. He's not actually really had a game. In the game that he scored a few goals, but I mean, apart from that, like I think you would be struggling to put any Rangers players in the team from now to like maybe like 2 or 3 seasons ago.
Well, you look at
Even Michael Beale's team.
I've just pulled up the Leipzig game for Rangers where they beat them 3-1 at Ibrox. Looking at the team there, obviously there's players missing in this lineup. You've got McGregor in goals. I think McGregor's one of the best goalkeepers Rangers have ever had. I don't think Butland gets in there, to be honest. Tavernier's obviously still there. The back two that day, Goldson and Bassey. I don't think any of the back two break into that, to be honest.
No.
Borna Baric at left back.
Roma doesn't. I know he didn't. He didn't start tonight, did he?
No, Max Aaron. So I don't like to get his name.
No.
Three in the midfield: Lundstrom, Jack, and Kamara.
I think Nico Raskin probably finds his way into that midfield, I'd say, but apart from that, no one else.
Front three: Kent, Aribo, and Wright. That game was probably Gattama in for Wright.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But that's what you're then looking at 2 players out of this Rangers line up to make it into that, which really does tell you how poor the recruitment's been.
And that tell you how backstep Rangers has been under Russell Martin as well, and recruitment as well. But,
but how much of a backstep it's been so far under the 49ers.
That's clear. Yeah,
obviously they've invested a lot of money. They've got a chance to right their wrongs. They've appointed a new manager. They're going to appoint new sporting directors and chief executives. They've got a chance to right their wrong, but early on it's not started well. But you don't always get things right first time. So They've still got a chance to win a Scottish Cup. They've still got a chance to win a league. They've still got a very slender chance to get out of the Europa League phase and into the knockout rounds. But yeah, it's not been a great start for Rangers. I feel like we barely spoke about Aberdeen tonight, but there's just not. I feel like there's not really much. I feel like there's not as much to speak about on that game. They'll just be disappointed not to hold on to that lead. It was a good goal from Kevin Nisbet at the end of the first half. I believe it was his first goal of the season as well, which probably tells you that the problems have been at Aberdeen. They've been struggling to score this season. And then Noah get the equaliser. I believe the player that scored in his last 4 Conference League games or something like that. So he's been hot in form. Yeah, but I don't think it really changes Aberdeen's season. I don't think they really had a chance of getting out of the Conference League anyway. I think the fixtures they were handed were too difficult for them and a step too far. And now they can maybe focus on league form a bit more and try to climb up that table because they'll put themselves into a decent position. And they'll be looking to fight for European places and fight for the Scottish Cup when it comes round again.
Yeah, Strasbourg did just beat Crystal Palace 2-1, so that probably shows you the level that Aberdeen are going to be facing in a couple of weeks. But Kevin Nisbet for me is, I don't know why he's quite been dropped, and I know that strikers on the scoring goals should then take him out of the team at some point. But I think he's one of the most natural finishers in Scotland. When he's got his feet, he's amazing, man. I think that goal summed him up. I thought it was a brilliant turn. He was so quick with it, get the shot off, and a really good goal. And I hope Tolino will start playing him in more games because I genuinely think he is a really, really good striker.
He's obviously someone who I want to get in good form for Steve Clark as well. Yep. So
him and Shankland up front in the World Cup final, brilliant. And I just had to get Shankland in there. By the way, I'm not a Hearts fan. Just in case you're wondering. I'm a Hibs fan. No, I'm not. There you go. So final scores tonight was Aberdeen 1, Noah 1, Rangers 1, Braga 1, and they went down to 10 men each. So that was good. And Celtic won 3-1 away to Feyenoord, and we get Martin O'Neill's last European game before Wilfred Nancy comes into Celtic. I'm trying to practice his name because if we get him on the show, I'm going to make a absolute fool of myself, but who cares? Thanks for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe to the channel Scottish Football Zone on YouTube. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and you'll see us going live every Friday and Sunday. We're also on TikTok, Spotify, everywhere. We're everywhere. Even we're outside your front door now, so don't open the door because the Scottish Football Zone will be there. The guys will be back tomorrow with the build-up of the weekend, and then on Sunday as well. And we might have a show on Monday to announce the new Celtic manager. I wonder who I'm talking about there. Thanks to Robbie, thanks to Ethan, thanks to Reagan, thanks to everyone that's watching. And we'll see you again soon. Be here at 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Scottish Football Zone.
Following our clubs in Europe on a Scottish Football Zone special.